Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good vibes, good energy, good people. It's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe right now. Also, if you want to support the brand, it's inspiredbydreams.shop. And we got new drops in there for you guys to go check it out. Add something to your closet. Okay, today's episode, we're talking about lawsuit hustlers. The people that just sue for a living. Let's get it.
Mickey made it. Mickey made what you made, Mickey.
Yeah, I sue people for a living, and it's because they told me to pull myself up by the bootstraps. I searched and searched and searched for jobs, but they wanted to offer me like $38,000 a year with a master's degree, and I said, I'm just gonna sue everybody. I'm just gonna sue the same people that are telling me to find a way. And then they had the audacity to get mad at me because my way of pulling myself up by the bootstraps is an inconvenience to them. But if they weren't doing something illegal, I wouldn't have been able to sue them. So they need to learn the laws of the land. They're just very hypocritical. That's all I gotta say. And you know, one thing I did do to save me.
And let me just say before we go any further, there's a lot of stealing going on. There's a lot of people trying to step on other people's stuff. Duplication. Get your money.
From paying taxes is I started my own religion. I had 10 of my friends join, and it's officially a religion that's recognized by the government, so I don't have to pay taxes on any of my money. I'm a businesswoman. What can I say? You can say a lot about me. You can say I'm a bad person, that I don't have any morals, but one thing you can't say is that I am not intelligent. I know a lot of people say this, but I genuinely could not care less what people think about me because I am rolling in dough. I'm never going to have to worry about money ever again. Next time you tell someone to pull themselves up by the bootstraps, be prepared for what might come next.
I think a lot of people don't know how easy it is to sue somebody. My name is Michaela, and I've been a paralegal for 11 years, and I'm going to give you a little legal tip of the day. Like, honestly, like if somebody has wronged you, I'm talking like if a landlord has wronged you, you want your money back. If a hairstylist has wronged you, you want your money back. Last stylist, just anything. And you want your money back, it's so easy to file a lawsuit. I think a lot of people think like, oh, I need to get a lawyer, or it's going to be a lot of money, or just like whatever. It's not, okay? And you don't need a lawyer. Of course, a lawyer helps, but you don't need it. So if you want to file a lawsuit, you literally can go to whatever your county website is, and normally filing a lawsuit is usually under about $100. If you're filing a civil lawsuit, it's going to be about normally under $100. I've filed one before. I filed several, but I filed one before, and it was like $75, okay? And honestly, you kind of just like write out anything that's happened to you, you submit it, and you'll be in court soon enough. Okay, easy. If somebody's wronged you, go get your money back. Seriously.
So the question is, you got to have money to take them to court. And the answer is not necessarily. If you meet the income guidelines, you can sue for free. The cost to file a case is going to be anywhere from like $50 to $250 or more. It just depends on your court and how much you're suing for. The way that you find out if you're able to sue for free is when you go down to the civil court to file your case, you also need to pick up a form called sue as a pauper, sue as a poor person, sue as an indigent. Different courts have different names for it, different states. You just have to ask. If you're not sure of the forms to download online, go to the actual courthouse and just say, do you have the form that allows me to waive my court fees? So the form is going to ask you about your income, if you qualify for any kind of government assistance like food stamps, or like if you're in college, or just different kind of things. It's going to ask that. A lot of times if you're on certain government assistance, you automatically qualify for filing your case for free. Some courts even serve the defendant for you, and that could be a fee from anywhere from $40 to $300 or maybe even more. But if you do have to pay for anything related to your case, when you file your complaint, make sure that you put that money on top of what you're already asking for in damages, and you should be reimbursed that after your case is settled.
Hey, listen, y'all. There's something else I want to let y'all know. Stop letting these jobs abuse you. Okay? Y'all think that because y'all going to these jobs that you don't have rights and that they don't have to respect you. You have rights. Okay? I cannot tell you how many times that let me take that back. I can tell you how many times somebody disrespected me on a job. Let me tell you why. Because at the end of it, I sue that company. Anybody that knows me, they know Deja will sue your ass. Okay, I will sue you. Do me wrong.
You do something wrong to me, I'm going to sue you. Because 9 times out of 10, you done caused me some emotional distress. A lot of y'all is in hostile work environments. There be discrimination. Okay? You better get to writing it down. You better get into writing down what manager said what on what day. Who was around when he said it. How many times he said it. You better get to writing that stuff down. And if you have the type of job where you can have your phone, baby, record their ass. If somebody says something wrong to you or off the wall to you, a manager or whatever, that's what you do. You take your phone, you turn that record on, you walk up on them and you say, hey, John, remember the other day when you told me what you said about whatever you said? Because John could have said something about the way your body look in your outfit, or if you don't do this, I don't know if you're gonna get them days you record. Stuff like that. Retaliation. There are so many things that these managers, supervisors, even your co-worker on your same level. If somebody do something, say something to you off the wall, baby, go back. Go back with that phone and record, and you ask them. You remember when you said what you said that day when you said, John? Yeah, okay. Why did you say that to me? Why did you think that was okay to say that to me? And they're gonna respond, and you just say, okay. That's it. Just say okay, because you got it on. You got your proof. You got it that they admitted that they said what they said to you. And you take that. And any other evidence you have, whether you don't wrote it down on a notebook or you got notes in your phone, whatever. Baby, I have notes in my phone and I have a notebook. Anytime I start a job, baby, I start a new notebook. Because what y'all not going to do is abuse me. You're not going to abuse me. I'm not coming to no job to be getting abused, mistreated, or any of that. And you go to your human resources. You follow the process. You go to your human resources, or you go to your supervisor and you say, hey, and he talk to you. And record it. Put your phone in your pocket. Record that too. And you bring it to their attention and you ask them, what is the process? What is the company policy pertaining to these types of situations? Okay, and then they should let you know what the policy is, because there are always policies in place.
Young lady reached out to me the other day and she was able to successfully sue her former employer. However, there's a catch. Oh yeah. You see, she had to sign a liquidated damages clause, meaning an NDA. What does NDA stand for? Non-disclosure agreement. What does that mean? It means you better keep your mouth shut, that we gave you some money, and if we hear that you or your family and your friends are bad mouthing our company, we're going to come after you for a lot of money. Yeah, that's what that means. And you know what that tells us? It tells us that there's all kinds of protections out there for the employer and nothing out there to protect the employee. It has been so many of you guys that have written into me to tell me that you have been able to successfully sue your job. And I am so happy for you. If you've been bullied on the job, and you got the documentation to prove it, and you have the stamina to get through it, God bless you. Because you deserve justice, and you, every second, every moment, every penny, you deserve everything you received and then some. But a lot of you guys, y'all don't know that this is going on because a lot of this stuff is behind closed doors. A lot of this stuff is behind closed doors. And yet the employee is out there in the wind, fending for themselves. But you can do something. You can reach out to your state representative and congressman to not only let them know that we want to make sure that workplace bullying abuse becomes illegal, but also we want those NDAs to go away. You see, how can we protect how can we be protected as employees and going into these toxic work environments where we're coming out and this is just adding to the mental health crisis that we're in right now. So many people need mental health care because they're experiencing workplace bullying abuse and mobbing, and they don't have to. People are walking into their jobs well, and they are coming out sick. So we need to change this around, because there's no reason why employers got all the protections in the world, but employees don't. So in the meantime, you guys go to these review sites. A lot of times you can leave an anonymous review. But we got to start exposing these toxic work environments. And if you want to know the sites to go to, I actually did a video how to expose a toxic work environment. Depending on which platform you're watching it on, I will link it below. Or you could just scroll to where you see the title, How to Expose a Toxic Work Environment, where I break down all the review sites that you can go to and let other people know. You guys, let's work together. And not only are we going to be working together to create laws that's going to protect us, we're going to also work together to make sure that we're exposing these companies that are abusing their employees. So I hope this helps someone out there. I'm Kristen Peoples of bossofculture.org. Bye.
All right, so let's talk about lawsuits, because I told you, sue their asses. Now, I don't recommend that you be what's called litigious, where you go around suing any and everybody, but you can. Who can you sue? Question number one. Anybody, any entity or any individual can be sued, or can have a demand sent to them. That is just what I know of. I'm not a lawyer, but I have gone through this process a couple times myself, so much to the point where the judge in my lawsuit said, you're so good at this that you should be a lawyer, because I won against lawyers. So anyway, that's beside the point. So I just told you who you can sue. Now, how do you sue? You have to understand what your claim is. That's called a cause of action. What did they do? Did they breach a contract? Did they not send you your last paycheck? Were you involved in a personal injury? Did you slip and fall? Whatever the case might be, you have to determine what your claim is. Then you gather evidence and you file a complaint against them and say, hey, this is what you did to me. You didn't send me my money back. You broke the contract, etc. Here's what I want in response to that. That's called a remedy. In a civil court, it's called 50% and a feather, or a preponderance of evidence. This is not law and order. This is not a criminal court. This is a civil court. So in a civil court, it's called a preponderance of evidence. You have 50%, the scales, right? The two scales, 50% and a feather. 50% and a feather. That's called a preponderance of evidence, okay? So you don't need... You're not, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. This is not O.J. Simpson, okay? So, all right, anyways, after you write your claim, you serve them, the defendant who you're suing has to respond within a certain time frame determined by the court, your local court. Then you go into discovery, you exchange evidence, it could be depositions, blah, 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 blah. That's really a settlement, negotiations, that's really when all that happens. That's how you sue. Now, two last things. You have what's called a statute of limitations. Just think of that as a legal deadline. Make it simple, right? A deadline. So a statute of limitations says that if this thing happened to you, your deadline to sue for that or to take a course of action for that thing is 1 year, 2 years, 10 years, forever. It could be whatever. So in a civil court, there are tighter deadlines. Whereas if someone is unalived, I think the statute of limitations is forever. And last thing is countersuits. That's basically that people can sue you back. So just be prepared for that if you have something that's suable.
Y'all want to know something funny? I've had 2 men insinuate to me that the reason that I have a following on social media is because I'm decent to look at. Y'all, if that was the case, I'd have a lot more men following me, okay? But that is not the case. 90% of my followers are female because we stand the female energy on this page. Like, I literally sue men for a living. I sue baby daddies for a living, y'all. Y'all think that the baby daddies are following single mom attorney? No, they literally hate my guts. If I had my following because, you know, my page was for like the male gaze, then I wouldn't even be single mom attorney. I'd just be mom attorney. You know, the single would not be
You guys make sure you like and subscribe, and also share the video. It helps.
in there. So I don't really know where men get that notion from, but I do not have a following because I'm decent to look at, okay? I have a following because the single moms stan this account. Anyways.
Here's a legal tip. For those of you who are thinking whether or not you have a lawsuit regarding whatever it is that's going on in your life or went on in your life, you should know that you can sue anybody for anything. The question is, will you win? If you approach your attorney and they give you a percentage of your case is this, or your case has a 80% chance of winning, or you have a good case, just ignore them. You have 100% chance of winning and 100% chance of losing, and most likely your case will settle if it's even viable. So remember that when people are trying to take your money, when they know you have a dog of a case, just remember what I told you.
100% chance of winning, 100% chance of losing. That is it. That is all. You're welcome.
So I've actually filed a lawsuit and won against every employer I've ever had. Except for one. I did file the lawsuit, I just didn't win. And now I'm about to teach you how. So the first method of filing a lawsuit against your employer, it's my favorite one. It's simple, it's easy, and more importantly, you're gonna get paid. So on Monday, when you go back to the work and go to the break room, just open your ears. You'll probably hear two guys. Those two guys will probably be talking about the fornications and the horseplay that they've had with the women over the weekend. What you do is you walk up to them, tell them, hey, I'm not trying to hear that shit. And then you go to HR and you file a claim. So going to HR and filing a claim is the most important part of the method. In order to win a lawsuit, you have to have a paper trail. So you go to HR and you file a claim for harassment. Now, after you do this, they're probably not going to like you anymore. They're probably going to run around talking crap about you, and that's okay. Remember, you're not there to work. You're not there to make friends. You're there to make easy money. So it's probably not going to be on the same day. Probably not going to be on the same week. But when next Monday rolls around and those two same guys are in the break room talking about the same things, boom, that's when you flip them. You go up to them again, you say, hey, you're making me very uncomfortable. I've already told you once. Stop talking like that. And then you go back up to HR, file another claim. And now what you have is a lawsuit. So lucky for you and your lawyer, you just took all the steps necessary in order to get the bag. Now the only thing left to do is go to court. Now going to court, it's not going to be a quick process, and it's definitely not going to be overnight. But in the meantime, you're already at your next job, plotting your next lawsuit. Now when you're going to court on your harassment case, very early on in the process, they are going to offer you a settlement. That settlement should be anything from $8,000 to $12,000. What you do in this situation is you take the money. Because from their point of view, they don't want to spend all the time in the world going back and forth with you. What's $12,000 to a multi-million-dollar company? Now your next step is to switch geographical locations. You don't want to rub yourself out, and you don't want the same judge for your next lawsuit. And now that you got you a little bit of money, you're probably the guy at the water cooler at your next job talking about the girls you lay, which is fine, because you're not even going to take the harassment method for this one. Now for this one, after you get done with the locker room talk at the water cooler, you're just going to take a brief glance at the fire exits. It's probably something blocking them. Boom, you got you an OSHA violation. And if there's not nothing blocking it, just put something in front of there and take a picture. After you do that, it's like rinse and repeat. You go back to HR, you file a claim and say, look, I feel very uncomfortable. You file the claim, you show them the picture, and they'll probably rectify the situation. That's okay, because next week, you're going to do the same thing. Now, when it's all said and done, after these two, you're $20,000 richer, you done moved again, you're probably working 2 or 3 part-time jobs, plotting on scamming all of them, and life is going to be great. At this point, you've probably seen the country. You're averaging 4 or 5 lawsuits a year, and you've got great experience in plenty fields of work.
How you could sue your job, and they don't even know. We're gonna go with the first thing. If you work at a job and the time clock rounds up, over the years, if you work there for a long period of time, that company's gonna owe you a pretty substantial amount of money. If you've worked there for 20 years, to take in consideration how much the money has changed. The next thing is telling you you're not allowed to use the bathroom, telling you can't take a break, telling you can't get food. Majority of fast food restaurants offer a policy to where at least the employee gets a free meal. The majority of companies that are petty are gonna tell you we only offer 10%. Something else they can do is you giving them like a 6-month notice that you are going on vacation, then they still try to fire you upon going to vacation. This is just one of the many things. If this video goes viral, I'll go into some other thing. Your employee actually can't fire you for even being 5 minutes late. The guidelines of the labor laws actually says the majority of the time, people get a 15-minute grace. It's even more crazy because the only thing they can fire you for is making TikToks at your job. Majority jobs have a policy called just cause. This is usually the last page of the manual, and it's for them to be able to fire you for any particular reason. They want you to sign this when you take the job. A lot of people don't even think about it. It's hidden between the last few pages of the contract.
In the workplace, there will be times where it's necessary to take legal action against your employer. And here are the 4 top reasons to sue your employer. The first reason is wrongful termination. People get terminated all the time, but their reasons for termination cannot violate federal and state laws. So an example of an illegal termination is as follows. Somebody's being terminated for poor performance without any discipline in the record. Another example would be an employee experiencing retaliation after filing a complaint. And lastly, if the employee is being discriminated against based on a protected status. The second reason is disability discrimination. If you have a disability, the federal law protects your right to work. And under the law, employers must provide reasonable accommodations to ensure that you're able to perform your job successfully. There is not a one-size-fits-all accommodation, but some examples of accommodations include, but are not limited to, the following: working from home, frequent breaks throughout the workday, the use of an ergonomic keyboard, a quiet space or a white noise machine, and if you run out of FMLA time or you don't qualify for FMLA, you can take leave as a reasonable accommodation under ADA. Now, the employer must engage in the interactive process with you to figure out what you need so you're successful when performing your essential duties. The only reason why an employer would not have to provide an accommodation is if they claim undue hardship. Now, they just can't say it. They have to prove undue hardship. 3 is unpaid wages. Your employer cannot dock your pay or refuse to pay you for hours worked. Anytime you're working or conducting workplace responsibilities or your employer is controlling your time, you must be compensated. Attending mandatory meetings or trainings, running errands for the workplace, being on call, or if they have you on hold waiting for an assignment. On hold meaning, say you want to leave town, but they're like, wait, I think we may have an assignment for you. Don't move. That's being on hold because you can't leave and go out of town until you find out if they do or don't have an assignment. The 4th reason is retaliation. Your workplace must be a safe environment. So if, ands, buts are supposed. Saying that, you have a right to report any activity that you feel that violates the law. If you are harassed, demoted, experience schedule changes, or fired after exercising your legal rights, then that's retaliation. And also, if you participate in any type of workplace investigation and you are targeted after, that's retaliation. And honorable mention, age discrimination. Whoever said age ain't nothing but a number was not talking about the workplace. The law protects employees over age 40. If you are over 40 in the workplace and you're being treated differently, that violates the law. What does differently look like for those over 40? I've seen situations where an employee over 40 was treated as if they were incompetent all of a sudden. In the previous years there, they were excellent. They were rock stars. They did great work. But then all of a sudden, as they started to get a little older, they're treated as if they're inept. They don't know what to do anymore, and they have these severe memory issues. There are also stereotypes that employees that are older are difficult to work with because they're set in their ways. These are just a few examples of when to sue your employer, but there are many more, and if something doesn't feel right at work, look into it.
You know, I do feel in these times, since money is the thing that makes people take advantage of people, talk to people any type of way, use their power to control people, I do feel like if you're gonna use your money and your establishments to do whatever you want, sometimes you gotta hit them in the pockets just to see a little bit of change. You guys let me know down below. And we're gonna continue this conversation on my morning show, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 a.m. Till next time, it's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe.